tradition.
Well, we can change anything you want.
Yeah.
Load up.
You do whatever you
Well, we're already 1 minute past, so we'll get going.
Yeah.
And it gets you late, it gets you late. I'm gonna set a clock to order then.
Yeah.
But-
Okay. Yeah,
All
go
right.
ahead.
We're gonna start with budget hearings. Sarah and Lindsay from ND2 Extension are here. We'll start with them on page 37.
Okay, well, as you can see, here is the NDSU Extension Ramsey County budget. The first three parts are the salaries. You've got Lindsay, as you may recall, NDSU and the county our salaries are split, so that you will see half the county share of our salaries, and NDSU picks up our benefits. The secretary would be Cindy's salary, and then with the next one would be Trisha's, and we would like to see her bumped up to an $18 per hour salary. She's doing an amazing job for us. We would love to keep her as long as possible.
What's she at now?
16.
16, 40,
Oh,
8,
okay.
16, something 8.
And is that a 20-hour a week?
Yeah. Yeah, it's right before benefits.
So with that, does a part-time get the 4% also? No. Right, or how's that?
You kind of just take care of your part-time as you want to. I mean, that's how I do mine.
Yeah, I think I looked at whatever percentage and I,
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
Because you can get a job at McDonald's for
Yeah.
$18
Sorry.
And then fixed charges will get put in there as soon as Candy receives them.
Yep, I'm waiting for Blue Cross.
Yep.
When do we think we're gonna hear from them?
They told me this week,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
Hello.
Travel, I guess we did decide to add a little bit in there just with the way inflation is. Lindsay's been doing some good farm visits for us and things like that. So we just kind of decided to do that. Equipment repairs are minimal. We decided to add a little bit more for registration. This year, Lindsay got her first year of her egg association dues paid for by the association, but next year we'll have to pay that, and we're not quite sure if she's going to join the 4-H association yet, but she's sure welcome to do that. Both Cindy and I belong to that association as well. And then our office supplies are next. Miscellaneous. As we are doing more face-to-face education, that's where the miscellaneous, we decided to add a bit more in there because when we are doing education with the public, we do like to, with the education in the schools, we like to provide samples, incentives. We've got gardening supplies for all of our, so we've seen post-COVID, those things kind of picking up. And then when I first started my role, I did get some federal funds with that role, but we no longer receive those funds, so we're kind of seeing that hit us too. So that's why we added a bit more with the miscellaneous. So anything else that you can see add there? So,
Okay.
let us know if you have any questions
Any
or.
questions?
I think it looks good. Thank you.
Okay, no questions?
Thank
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. There's Chris. Come back.
Good afternoon.
Page 14 and 3536.
14 is risk and.
Okay,
Button first.
as well.
Absolutely no change.
Okay.
Absolutely no change.
Okay. That's easy enough. You can keep up on that one, that's good.
35 is yours.
Okay, 35, the other thing that's really changed for our salary, telephone I did up, we added the, communication boost pack onto my cell phone line, so it's gonna reflect that on the bill, so it will be going up. So I bumped that up just a hair. Everything else I kept the same, minus the second page. I added a vehicle maintenance, because I would like to see maybe a vehicle from some ARPA funds, if that would be available.
Okay.
Chris, what do you have for a vehicle now?
My own,
Yeah.
You used to have one? Last time around.
Yeah, we did.
Had like an expedition or something with it, like.
Yeah, I kind of went to the.
Okay, sorry.
It was salvage time, huh?
I want to know what he is.
Fair enough.
It was salvage time.
Let me see, then I think we had
We had a car
car,
for a while.
yeah, and
I
the
don't know if that's,
car didn't get started often as it should have been, so then the radio, everything like sucked the battery and then they'd go to drive it and end up somewhere with a dead battery.
I think I remember that.
so does he have to request going through the ARPA committee, or we can request, or he can request a vehicle? Does everything have to go through them?
No,
Or we can do
I
that?
think we just. put it
I
in.
would say instead of that, instead of the ARPA money, go to the COVID or route.
Cause we still
Oh,
got
okay.
$400,000 some dollars.
Yeah,
Less
it's like
than that.
3, yeah, it's just,
That's from
it's
that
just
initial-
under 4.
From the initial
Yes.
532, we still got plenty
Okay.
of cash.
Was this what we were gonna do for the tax office too?
Mhm.
Of the same-
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
My question would be is, for instance, like, so you had 60,000 in for radios, and I know we didn't know when we were gonna start buying radios, right? So we had it in for 21 and 22, so we did levy that $60,000, right? On the budget.
Yeah.
So we should have a kitty of money sitting there for radios then.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, you know?
And there's anywhere from a 6-month to a 12-month waiting period now.
Yeah, they're really struggling with radio files.
Well, that's
Parts from,
anything.
parts from overseas are taking a little longer.
And there's a big portion of your budget that's reimbursable.
Yes.
Yes. So that's one thing to keep in mind with that position is that.
How much is that? Do we have a figure?
Well,
Is it half? Is it half of
50%
your
of the
wage?
salary,
60%.
administration costs,
And
basically.
then 50% of fixed charges, self-insurance and stuff like this, covered too, correct? It's all employee cost.
Yeah. It just, equipment costs would not be a part of that, so. Yeah.
You wanna continue to use your own vehicle or?
No,
No?
I think we,
And you have been using gas out of your budget for paying for the gas?
Pretty much out of my pocket.
So when you're talking this vehicle maintenance, what are you talking there?
Fuel, brakes, maintenance, just general maintenance on it. Yeah, and it's a rough guess that soft it ends up, I just took.
Well, because I think maintenance is different, not
yeah.
fuel is usually.
Right, I just,
That's why I'm asking, so $7,200 for maintenance. Probably high.
We could just
It's
call it
just-
vehicle
It's
expense.
including the gas.
Yeah.
Just vehicle expense. Catch all.
So the question is whether we wanna put money in this budget for a vehicle. Is that right?
No, I think, using that
ARPA
that
money?
COVID.
that COVID money, don't put it in that budget.
They have two separate lines.
Two separate,
Right.
Basically, we gotta decide what. What kind? I mean, what are you kind of vehicle are you looking?
Looking for a Tahoe, something that's, can we stage up as a command center, if anything bad happened.
Something that would be four-wheel or all-wheel drive, some ground clearance, some ability to securely transport equipment, that kind of thing, yeah.
Okay,
All I got.
further questions?
So then on this budget, we're gonna budget it separated from the vehicle thing? Is that kind of what we're doing now?
Yeah, I guess that's how I would look at it. I mean, it's,
Because if it
yeah,
comes out of the money, it will be.
I would have thought so.
is anything.
Once we buy the vehicle, then we just have to budget the maintenance side of it.
Right. Anything on this budget is gonna be what we need to levy for. Anything, something like that, we could consider an off-budget expense since we have, you know,
But the-
reserves essentially. And that was gonna be one of my questions, Christmas, really for Andy is, so like when any overage in the emergency management budget, does that go general fund or does that have its own separate levy?
That has its own.
Okay, so we have money sitting, that $60,000 for radios is just sitting in the emergency management fund right now. I'm just curious because I think this year when we're gonna be looking at the budget, we're gonna be looking at, I think we're gonna have to take a good look at what our carryover is sitting at, because maybe we could fit some of the budget into the carryover since, you know, we generally, at least since I've been here, we are always very conservative when we budget, we go a little high, make sure we got extra money. So if the money rolls back into those funds, maybe we could, you know, we don't wanna go crazy, but maybe we could take a little bit, just cut down into the, but we'll have to see where we're sitting at.
Have you shopped around at all, Chris, for a vehicle, or just give us a approximate price?
Yeah, it's really tough right now. I was trying to shoot for the, more of the, call them SSV, special service vehicle. There's a very small window to buy from. I'm currently having 3 dealerships right now look for those. It might be a long way.
You know what kind of money we're looking at?
Well, depends on options. Just the vehicle price is close to 60,000-70,000.
And then we're gonna have radios and all that
The outfit's almost 20 grand,
yeah.
but that'll all be reusable. And I'm gonna cut out a lot of that outfit. They wanna, of course, they always want to sell you on everything, but I can get that outfit. Yeah, I can get that cut out.
How many miles annually do you expect? 25,000,
Probably close to
20,000?
that.
So probably a 5-7 year time frame for longevity.
Yep.
So you take that over a 5 or 7 year time period, it's not a bad price at all.
Okay. So any questions for Chris?
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Maddie.
That's me.
Hi.
Oh, Dee. Do we have some stuff for you? Sorry, though, I did not print one for you.
I'm hurt.
I know.
What about this guy? Huh?
Yeah, reverse favoritism. All right, hello, my name is Maddie Cummings and I am the Director of Outreach and Innovation at the Lake Region Public Library. Before I get into our kind of official budget ask, North Dakota Century Code does dictate that we are supposed to be filing an annual report with our governing bodies, which I don't believe has been happening. So just wanted to take a quick minute to recap some highlights of what is here before you. On the third page, you can see some fun statistics for the library in 2021. We saw over 24,000 physical visitors to the library. We had circulation of over 20,000 materials between books, ebooks, and DVDs, which have kind of hopped in popularity after the pandemic. The following page is just kind of a short breakdown of resources and services that the library offers. Since taking this position, I have found that many people don't quite realize the scope of goods and services that the library offers. So I just wanted to give those in a little breakdown here. One thing that did happen in 2021 was we were promoted from developing to excelling in the North Dakota Library Coordinating Council standards. Only 5 libraries across the state have reached this tier, and this just indicates that we have programming, accessibility, and resources offered that are a higher level than most of the libraries in the state. So that was exciting. The next page, you'll find just a short fiscal report. As you can see, our revenues come predominantly from the city and the county. Just over $187,000 last year came from these sources. We got a small allocation from the state library. Our maintenance of efforts kind of has been missed for the past couple of years, so that number is small, but we're hoping to get that back up. And we had just under $8,000 in donations come in as well. Our expenditures, most of it went towards staff, operations, as one would expect. Almost $22,000 was spent on collection acquisition of new titles and resources available for our patrons. The condition of the library, we're coming up on our 20-year anniversary next year, and we're very fortunate that we've had a very well-functioning building this long. Some things will need to be updated coming up on 20 years here. Our phone systems have been in place since 2000, 2001, as well as our air conditioning system, which we're just finding days like yesterday, we're up to 82 degrees in the library by the end of the day. So we're gonna have to figure something out there. But for this year, we got fans. A couple just fun facts. The American Library Association has created a couple calculators to determine the worth of our public library, as well as a return on investment calculator. Our worth, based on the different services that we offer, is over $463,000. And our return on investment for every $1 that was invested in the library, patrons are receiving $2.45 of goods and services back. So not too shabby. I'll let you peruse everything else yourself. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we're very excited for 2022 to continue and looking forward into the future and throwing a big old birthday party next year for our 20-year anniversary.
Have they had someone come out and look at the air conditioning or?
I believe something was looked at under the previous director, but I think there was maybe a little misunderstanding, miscommunication. And so an official bid was never submitted, but it was tossed around that it would be like a $6,000 overhaul, something like that. But since then, we have not had anybody officially come and diagnose what a replacement or upgrade from what we currently have would be.
There is air conditioning in there?
There is. It's supposed to be working, but
Let's get somebody over.
yeah. Yeah, our friends at Lake Region Sheet Metal, they like my calls.
But they haven't been able to fix it.
Well, we recently, one of the heat pumps flooded, and so he came out and he fixed that for us, and now there's no water going to the heat pump. So that was just that last week and this week. So we'll call him again this week and see what he can do for us, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, let's get that fixed.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice facility, we don't want
Yeah, yep,
books and, good materials in there we need to take care of.
absolutely, absolutely. Thankfully, the humidity is still well controlled, so
Keep us informed on
Absolutely.
how that's going and
certainly,
we'll address it if we need to.
absolutely. In terms of the actual budget request for 2023, you will see a couple of numbers in italics. These are the numbers that I get from the city. And as we know, there's been some auditor turnover and some other things, and we still don't have final financials for 2021 for several things, let alone our forecast for 2022. So any number that's in italics is pretty much a guesstimation as of July 10th from conversations with the city administrator. But we are requesting from the county our same 3.07 mills that we have requested in the past, which this year approximately will value $142,385.28. This level will just about balance our budget. As you can see, it is off a little bit between revenues and expenditures. We're hoping to get state funding in a level that hasn't been achieved in the last couple of years from the state library. We also have not had any foundation funding in the past couple of years. And so we're hoping that we can get some special projects funded at the end of the year from that as well. The only notable asks or changes from any individual line items, the Lake Region Public Library Board did vote to eliminate the daily late fees that accrue on overdue items, which was 10 cents a day for books and 50 cents a day for DVDs. So that is no longer accruing. But if a patron has an item checked out 30 days past its due date, that patron is then assessed a fine for the entire replacement cost of that item. So instead of $3 for 30 days, then they're being charged $27.99 for the book. And they either return it or they pay it. And that has not affected our circulation in any strong fashion thus far. And so we're excited to see how that goes. But that is a $0 change from, $1,500 of revenue in the past. Beyond that, we believe our electricity level will go up a little bit just based on number of hours we're being open, as well as inflation costs. We're asking for a little bit more money in book purchases for adult and children's books. And line item 43,600 or account, 43,600 is currently publishing and printing. We're asking that go to $1,500, $1,000, and be utilized more specifically for outreach and adult programming, as there is no budget for these at this time. And that's one thing that could really propel us from the excelling standards by the coordinating council up to future focused, is by offering more programs for ages 12 and over. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Questions from that? And we had, just to add on, we had a lot of discussion about the late fees portion of it. I think we talked about it like 3 or 4 meetings in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Looked at a lot of different studies and research that's been done. And essentially the thought process is that late fees become a barrier to entry to the library, because then people can't check stuff out anymore. So if you just eliminate the late fees, then all of a sudden people can't check stuff out because they have $1 worth of late fees or whatever, because they don't have the money. Then they still, the items don't walk away any more than they do normally.
Mm-hmm.
They still show up, it's just you're eliminating the late fees. So it's just a barrier to entry basically. And so far it's been working really well.
Yeah, our circulation statistics remain pretty much unchanged, and it was a big barrier to our technology use, logging on computers and printing and faxing and those kinds of things. And being one of the only places in town that does printing, copying, scanning, faxing all in one place for 50 cents a pop, that is definitely something that we want to offer everybody.
How many full and part-time staff are there?
Absolutely. With the addition of my position, there are 2 full-time staff members and anywhere between 4 and 6 part-time staff members, depending on the season. We have a couple circulation assistants who only assist on Saturdays during the school year. But right now we just have 2 circulation assistants, and our children's librarian is also part-time.
And the normal hours are?
They are up to 29 hours per week apiece.
As far as library being
Oh,
open?
yes, we're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 6, Tuesday, 10:30 to 6, Thursday, 10:30 to 7, and Saturday, 10:30 to 3. So it's about 47 and a half hours per week.
Further questions?
No. Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much, have a great day.
Me too.
Alrighty. Audrey.
For jumping in the salary, between steps and
Wow.
percentages and I don't know, for Randy and I put down, what I told to put down. However, I did, and Seth too, I did forget to add in any overtime. So I just penciled in just $500 for both Randy and Seth for overtime. You guys don't have that written in there. I'll just have to think of that today. For Seth, rather than whatever percentage he would have gotten, it wasn't much of a percentage, I threw in $18 an hour. He was asking me for if he could get on full time, and I said, no, sorry, we just don't need another full-time person. So I thought if I could maybe bump him up a little bit. Don't want to see him leave, but whatever we can maybe do. So, oh crap.
Overtime is in the next.
Yeah, my next line is overtime. Okay, well, we should be good then. Scratch the 2 500s. Travel, same. Electricity, more building, put that up 1,000. Electricity courthouse, same. Heat, put that up to 45. Utilities, remain the same. Utilities memorial building, same. Home services, same. Maintenance for the courthouse, same. Contracts, the same. Capital outlay, same. So came to a total of 348, 168. Now in county building improvements, I put 300,000 in there again. Been talking about a different new phone system, updated phone system for a while. Hopefully that will cover that. I guess I never really, I had talked to Cammy and she's been kind of waiting for numbers and I guess haven't ever really gotten it. That's still true?
No, we have a number, but we were going to go further and do wiring and like, if you're gonna have a phone company here, you might as well do all of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's the number you have? Is that?
Well, that's been
What, where was that in relation to the 300,000?
like 87.
Okay. Well, we should be good. Yeah, without wiring.
That's just one.
And we were still planning on generator out of the COVID, ARPA.
Yeah, and I was going to ask that question. Yeah, we're still planning on trying to do generator, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have bids on that, or
Pardon?
do we ever have bids?
Well, it did, that's 2 years old now. Yes, it did. I think was right around 200.
Yeah, didn't we have to go back since we're above a certain number and we have to have it engineered or?
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Was it more of that?
And that would have,
400,000 or not?
I think with that engineer, I think it was gonna be like 230, 240. We were guessing what an engineer would cost. So they usually take a certain percentage. So, okay. Weed board. Went with the mills to increase in mills, so I just penciled in stuff that equals the 3 mills that we would get. Work salaries, just bumped that up 1,000. Fixed charges 500. Travel's the same. Equipment the same. Utilities same. I did put supplies up 1,000. Labor and employment, pretty much 1,600. Chemicals, roughly 1,500. Yeah. So. Any questions?
Okay, questions from Roger?
Did you want to mention what we talked about for the building? for outside.
Caulking?
Well, either that or the repainting or,
Oh. Well, you know, I think we get the phone system first.
yeah, but
And it
that's not
sounds like
gonna
that
take
might be
300,000.
quite a bit less. Yeah, you know, we don't really see any leaking much unless we have a hard driving rain from one side or the other, and then we'll get a little comes in. It's been at least 15 years since, we've had the building call. It probably wouldn't hurt to get that redone. And if we wanna think about painting the panels, the outside blue panels, cosmetic job, I don't know. Personally, I'd rather see us somehow clean out all these vents, but I talked with Jeff about that. And years back, I asked Steam Brothers and they came and looked and they said they didn't want anything to do with it. So,
Well, to me, that would be really something that would be what that original COVID ARPA dollars was meant to do, was enhancements of health for your building and employees and the public.
and that would almost have to be done after hours of weekend, because if somebody is able to get in and put some sort of brushes in here and the vents, yeah, I know this stuff is gonna come off. It's not gonna be pretty.
Yeah. Well, it's been 60 years of use. 60.
Who did you try, Roger?
Steam Brothers, years ago,
And that was a long time ago.
yeah.
What about the maintenance people, yellow vans, is that what that name is? Service master. You
Yeah.
tried that?
That would probably be, well, the only local company that might think about it. I can certainly talk to them.
If they don't do it, maybe they'll point you in the right direction. to
Right.
Somebody that will do it.
Somebody else who does.
Because that's it's kind of a specialty thing.
Yeah.
It's not something everybody does.
Yeah, because for each thermostat, there's like a mixing box out in the ceiling in the hallway above the ceiling. And there's a main line that comes in, and then it branches off going this way, so it's gonna be, difficult.
It'd be a job.
Like what Jeff said, that's what we should use that COVID money for, some of that,
right,
not for buying a vehicle. I don't think we should.
Yeah, I'd like to see
I
it
think we
done.
should clean them up. Don't think buying vehicles on the general, I think. Pardon me?
out of the general fund?
I think so. But these things should be cleaned, like you said.
I think it would be beneficial. And you're right, it's gonna have to be a weekend
Mhm.
thing, because when I was at UND, when I was undergrad at Hislop, they did that and it was kind of a disaster. And they did it on a weekend, but man, it was a disaster when we came back.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, they probably hadn't cleaned the vents in that place, it was built in 1920 or whatever, so they probably hadn't cleaned the vents in 80 years or whatever it was.
Yeah,
But it was way fresher after they were done, so
Yeah.
it was beneficial.
Every vent, when you're on that line, should have something over it or try and catch.
Catch it all, because there's gonna be dust and
Oh,
dirt and garbage.
So how much do you think it's gonna be, Roger?
that's a really good question.
you want somebody that's done it before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
but
I think you should look at, if there's nothing here local, look Grand Forks or.
Yeah,
I mean, the buildings they have down there, must have somebody that does that.
yeah.
But I think would be a great idea.
Mhm.
Something to look into, that's for sure. I agree. Okay, further questions for Rod? Have the panels on the outside of the building ever been painted?
No, I
I
know.
think so.
One of those things, if you paint them once, you'll be painting them every 4
Yeah, that's
years.
probably about it, after the big done.
That was my question too, because they're faded now, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but once you paint them.
Then it'll be a
Fade,
never ending
fade,
process.
fade, yeah.
Yeah.
You're probably better off sticking with the teal.
Yeah, I think cleaning it up would be much better.
I do too.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of the teal paint out there, but
Yeah.
at the same point, if it's gonna be every 5 years, you're gonna have to sink a bunch of money into painting it,
Yeah.
that's not very beneficial use of the dollars.
How about like the touchless stuff for the bathrooms? Ever
For
think
what?
of that? touchless sink, you know,
Oh, I got
did you ever think about stuff like that since we have this money?
You know, honestly, in a lot of those touchless bathroom things, I can't ever get the water.
What I
You have to take
I
water
kind of
bill.
have the same thing with, as Roger, with those touchless faucets, and they never get warm.
That too.
Because you turn, you know, they're only on for 10 seconds and you have your hands under there. So you're never washing with warm water. You know, I think the touchless soap dispenser or paper towel dispenser would be beneficial. You know, and then some of the other issues that we have on the upper floors of accessibility issues in our bathrooms would be something that we should take a look at. But I think some of those touchless things that the COVID dollars were
Meant to be.
initially meant to
Yeah.
be for,
Yeah.
we could certainly take some of those things into consideration. And, you know, a water bottle filler would be wonderful. And you know, they have counters on them, and I was at the Holiday Inn in Fargo last week, and they had a water filler in their lobby that had over 177,000 plastic bottles that it replaced by filling up water bottles and in their one filler in their lobby, yeah.
They just replaced water fountains that you already have.
Yeah.
There's water fountains in here.
Right.
I think that's, I'll be honest with you, I think that's a great, we have them all that where I work in. It gets used a lot more now than it ever did.
You know,
With the bottle filler?
Yeah.
You know, I talked to the maintenance guy out at the college when we were in the process of getting new water fountains here. And they got water bottle fillers, and he told me he wished they never would have. So there are some filters in there that are horrendously expensive, and they, changing them all the time. He said the fountain is cost like nearly twice as much to start with too.
but that's part of that ARPA money that was meant to have touchless type of environments for people to not touch surfaces.
But the
And then
I'm
you just,
thinking,
fillers aren't touchless, are they, the water bottle fillers?
yeah,
Well, they are.
so I think it all depends on which ones you get,
uh,
because the ones that we have in our building, there's no filters, it's just like a water fountain,
Oh,
just like a normal water fountain, and it's just.
Yeah, you'd have to do the research to make sure you bought ones that wouldn't have additional costs.
They probably went above and beyond and got one with filters, but I don't think you'd have to have filtered and you got city water coming here, you know?
you know,
Well, yeah.
Why would you need the filters on it? I think the research, you know, the research is like, I know ours don't have filters. Really not. And the water fountain doesn't have a filter now.
no.
doesn't it?
No.
You need filters anyway, you need that iron and all that good stuff in there, it's good for
But I just think the touchless part of it for a water bottle would be good,
No.
you know?
you. Well, and, you know, that's where the ARPA funds, we got $2.2 million, and the thought process was to use at least half of it for county needs. Well, we can put together a wish list of all the things we'd like to get done and see if we can fit it into 1.1, and if we can't, then we'll just chunk off a little bit more from the other side if we have to, and or we can use some of the other COVID dollars, we'll just have to kind of figure out how to make it work.
I like the idea that you're upgrading to, you know, you're upgrading the facility that you have.
And not looking to build a new one?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, and
we have
upkeep and maintenance on a 60-year-old building every year is just gonna get more and more expensive.
we have a beautiful building, and Roger does a fantastic job keeping it up. And every once in a while, we need to put a little extra in that budget to make sure that the enhancements that we need is,
You got,
so.
you got quite a bit of kudos last night at our meeting of how clean this courthouse is compared to a lot of others from the health department.
No, we have a wonderful facility, and it reflects directly upon the staff that maintains it, so thank you for all that you do.
Nice.
wanna discuss the other request? Lighting,
There's more requests?
Outdoor lighting,
lighting.
security lighting. I think that's an easy fix to make, and you know where that, whether it be the back parking lot when we have staff that come in after hours or, late at night, or, unfortunately, North Dakota, where our sun sets at 4:30 in December, so, for about a month and a half, we're working and coming to work in the dark and then leaving in the dark as well, so.
Let's do that as an upgrade. There's no reason to do that.
Make sure we talk to Otter from them.
It's a mail from Otter Tail.
Security.
Yeah.
We've got the lighting down there, I should just get a different switch so the volleyball people don't constantly shut that light off on the north side of the memorial.
Yeah.
And there's a light coming in the back door there,
Yeah.
we got one over here, motion detector light. So,
How are the parking lots? Are they, I guess I never paid attention that closely.
the only place, probably right this area a little
Yeah,
bit,
that's-
but I mean.
That's the city's portion, is this part out here, correct?
This is the county.
That's counties and that's cities.
Cities
That's right.
is on the other
Correct. That's right, because we paid our part, they didn't pay.
No. The other side of the sheriff's house, I mean, the street lights over there, you're pretty good there. And like I said with this, and then they've got a light that comes on in the sheriff's house, here and there, I mean, that helps to light this area up too. So, I mean, the parking lot, it certainly isn't so dark, like I said, the only thing I should try to do is get a different switch there so the volleyball people can't constantly shut that light off. Which I seem to love to do.
what about a motion light to put on because there's already power on the generator building? Like just to put a light so it shines on those cars?
Oh, those cars there, well, we can do it, yeah.
The fleet vehicles that.
Yep.
The
Especially
social.
if something comes on.
Well, I can understand that, yeah, because I mean, social services, they have people come in late at night or leave early, when they gotta go get a kid or something, they have a little bit more lighting for the
Or even
vehicles.
just a light like we have on a memorial, or stick one of them on the side of the
Yeah.
generator.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd
It would definitely help.
Especially if you put motion sensors on them and things like that, because that way they're not burning all night, wasting a bunch of electricity, they're only being used when they're needed.
Like I said, let's talk to Otter first.
Yeah, they might help us out with that.
Well, we should maybe
If it's a
check with
safety
the
issue, I
city
think.
too to see if there's any light bulbs in their lights in their portion of the parking lot.
In their parking lot.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Or
see if they'll do
light
something.
bulb enhancements, whether they be upgraded to an LED or something, a little brighter.
Sometimes that's all it needs.
Is there any way, Roger, that in the hallways we could have motion lights? Like especially winter time, it's like we leave out, some people come off the elevator, it's dark. I'm guilty of leaving the lights on in the hallway when I leave at night. I'll be the one, I do
Well,
it.
maybe we'll just have to leave the lights on in the hallway.
Okay, I mean,
That's an easy fix, and I
Okay.
don't know if it would,
cause I feel like if you're coming from third floor, it's pretty dark.
and it's unfortunate that they're all on one switch. If you could have just one center light on, that would be enough light to take people out of the shadows or whatever to be on.
Well, the lobby lights here, they're separate.
Oh, yeah, they're separate.
So whether you have it, and of course, get on the main line, they're two, it's separate there too. I mean, it isn't all one switch or two.
But if they're, I'm not saying that, 50% of them are on with one switch on, but you could just have one light on, right in the center. Or one in the center, one on each end, and then that would suffice to be,
I flip them on when I leave because it's really dark.
Looks like you walk into something.
Or someone.
but just little things to make people feel more secure and
Yeah.
safe. And, working after hours or at night, or in the winter time.
Yeah, again, those are all things we can You know, we got 300,000 budgeted, we got some of the ARPA money, so if we wanna do some of those things, I think we can figure out how to
Yeah, we'll make it work and make it.
make kind of a wish list and see what we can fit in.
Right.
Maybe it's a 2-year deal or whatever, make a wish list, and hopefully we can get it all.
Yeah.
Okay, further questions for Roger? Seeing none, thank you.
Great job, thank you,
Thanks,
Roger.
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 See you tomorrow.
Was he coming in
He's
tomorrow?
coming back.
Yeah, back tomorrow.
I have something for you to sign, Roger.
Brad, you're up. Welcome.
I moved to the middle so that you can really. You all were provided with the one-page year-to-year 2022 and 23 budget, right? Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And then some of the highlights of the 21 and 22, you have that document as well. Yep. I'm not gonna read through it, you know. Had a lot of discussion, Adams, you know, as a member of the board. We've talked a lot about, you know, our priorities. Really, probably more so in the last 6 months, we get great at them. You know, when I first got here, primary sector, let's get the building filled, the project, that type of thing. You know, when you run out of building space, you don't have the workforce like somebody has, I think it's harder to do the primary sector, so we kind of pivoted a little bit. We started working on childcare. I don't know if you guys know this, I was doing some digging the other day. Childcare, we're probably the best in the state, other than a couple of the bigger cities, Fargo, for percentage of kids that have got childcare available.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we're at 60%. There's some counties that are in their 20s, 30s, I mean, and bigger counties. So, you know, it was wouldn't you say, we talked about it a lot, and we've had the right people step up, you know, you got Marty Brzezinski, you've had a few others, but we've worked on that. But we're continuing to work on that. We're trying to do things more on that. If you're a child care center director and you're trying to get workers, it's tough. Boy, I mean, Margie is gonna open, and you know what I'm talking about, help me out, Adam, what is the rest
Old
called?
Southgate Bills.
Yeah, the old Southgate, okay, Blake Brzezinski and Margie Green, both locals come back, right? They would like to have 70, 80, she's got enough workers right now for 40. So she's trying, her damnedest to get that extra 2 or 3 workers so they can get to that full number. And their cash flow is at that full number, so it's important.
Sure it is.
You know, I mean, but at the end of the day, you know, she doesn't have healthcare. I mean, to provide healthcare is just amazing, you know, for that type of business as well. But anyway, priorities have been workforce, childcare, primary sector is still there, downtown revitalization, some of the downtown stuff we've done, we put some dollars there. Without our Bank of North Dakota, Adam will concur, without the Bank of North Dakota Flex Pace and Pace program, what we do with interest buy downs, I don't know if I'd take this job again. I mean, that program in itself gives us that capacity to do it, especially in the early couple of years when I was here, when we really didn't have any growth fund dollars because of the Ultra Green, you know, fiasco and everything there. We're building that up, that fund up. You know, we're at $500,000-600,000 now, and that's growing. When I got here, it was in the 200s. You know, we have obligations out of that we got to continually pay. So if you look through some of the highlights, I'll just go through them. Our workforce recruitment and retention program, 2020 program. You know, I've talked to you, Commissioner, I know one time you mentioned you didn't really know a lot about it. In a nutshell, we take $6,000 of the city's money and county money, but mostly through our growth fund. And the state doubles it, that's 12 grand. That's a scholarship or loan repayment for somebody that agrees to come back here and work or stay here and work. And man, I'm talking about it every day to kids that I'm trying to align them with businesses locally versus losing them. You know, they might go to school, but let's get them back. That program's been a good one and will continue to be. We're known as the leader of the state for that type of program and using the career builder program, which is a state program. We've done some things with pilot career things, the career awareness part there, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that down the road. The additional 55 childcare center slots and 8 infant slots. You know, infants are the key kind of for growth. You know, you need infant slots, so those are there. I won't read all of them, but as you go through them, you see kind of what happened in 21 and 22. But once again, without that B&D interest buy down, you know, we can't give $2 million to every business that wants to come to town. We've got a couple potentials right now. We floated a small amount of money, and then Bank of North Dakota amount as an incentive for them to come to us. One of them are still in the running, so is Grafton. Another one, I don't really have finalists on it. It's another company that it's not blockchain, it's not Bitcoin. If you hear the governor, he wants every Bitcoin data center in the country, and I don't necessarily agree with that. It's not a lot of workers and it's a lot of power usage. But this company wants to make the facilities that go into a center, so it's more of manufacturing versus the actual Bitcoin company itself. So that would be an interesting situation if we could get that. It's a company out of Canada that it's just too expensive for them to operate. It's a Canadian company in the US. They want US operations or US life site. So those are some of the things as you read some of the highlights. When you come down to the bottom, I wanted to give you a little update too. There's so much ARPA dollars. You guys know that. You're dealing with it. I'm on the committee with Adam for the county ones. We've got $1 million of workforce dollars that are available. There's a regional program out of the Department of Commerce. They took $15 million of federal money to give them $1 million to our region, Region 3. It's the North Central Planning region. Other regions get more. We've got a couple of things that we're going to talk about. We're going to take $400,000 to $600,000 to increase childcare slots. So we're going to even get better throughout that region. And right now, it looks like about 4 of the 6 projects are going to be Ramsey County. Eddy County and some of the others just didn't have centers where they could put the money. So it looks real good for that. And then we're going to do something that, I don't know, how do you get the kids, get them to think about the careers that are available in our counties? You know, how do you go to New Rockford, and Eddy or Ramsey if we go to Starkweather, that type of county? How do you get to them? So we came up with this idea of a career exploration lab. President Darling says, wow, you're back to the old bookmobile days. Remember when the big bookmobiles were around? That's what this will be. This is going to be a mobile van. It's going to be logo with business logos. It's going to be more excitement and marketing about the careers that are available in Ramsey County and our other 5 counties in our region, Region 3. And the idea is to go to the student rather than hope the student gets counseled correctly, and learns about companies in our area. So imagine getting the Summers Manufacturing HR going to some of the outlying towns within our region.
Good idea.
Even further than our region. You realize our workshed is big. I mean, you guys all know people that drive 60 miles to Devil's Lake to work. I know people that live in Devil's Lake that drive to Grafton to work. I mean, so at the end of the day, this is an idea that we're going to try. We're spending a lot of money to do this van. There's a company in Moorhead called Vanna Vans. It's going to convert it. But that van is going to have 3 screens in it. We're going to have virtual reality experiences of the jobs that are available. We're trying to get that, not that entry level worker as much as the skilled worker and that, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year type worker that would come back. So that's where that stands. Those are all things that are kind of in the hopper. Adam knows I got myself involved with the economic developers of North Dakota. I'm vice president this year and I'm president next year for the state. And it's going to require some time abroad, but abroad being outside of, not outside the U.S., outside of Devil's Lake. But it's been a good organization. It's really helped get us closer to the Department of Commerce as an area. But when you look at the budget, just real briefly, it's pretty much the same budget that it's been in the time I've been here. It's raised. I'm the biggest expense in the form of salaries and benefits. One good news is yours truly turned 65 in January, so I go to Medicare, and it's just been bugging the heck out of me to send an $8,000 quarterly check for our insurance, for me, basically, family, my wife and I. It's just tremendously expensive. So those will be reduced and will be a redone budget next year. I don't have actuals finalized yet either with the city's issues. Liz and Linda having a staff of about 2 or 3 brand new people. I mean, you guys, I know you know how that affects an organization, so she did most of our financials as well as any of the other, groups as well, but I do have the dollars there for 22 to 23. Any questions at all?
Brad, I know,
Yeah.
Is there any, when you're out, promoting the community, promoting the region, and are there roadblocks specific to why companies are saying no to Devil's Lake? And is there something that we as a county can do to help alleviate some of those roadblocks?
Double our population. Yeah, unfortunately,
But-
that's the first thing. that most
Other than childcare and those things that we talk about in housing and things, are there other things that come up in your day-to-day discussions with companies? One of the things that comes up in my discussions with my profession is the fluctuation of lake levels. And does that have any impact on people moving in, moving out, not willing to
Deal
plant their
with this.
roots,
Yeah. No, it's been people.
okay,
It's just been that proximity
sure,
or lack of proximity to a larger pool of people.
sure,
Without an airport, I don't know if I do this job, so that is a big time plus for us. I just saw a company call yesterday, and they're in Saskatchewan. Did I say that right? Saskatchewan, right? Between Regina and Edmonton.
yeah,
And, you look at the map and see where they're at and how they gotta get here. The airport doesn't help a lot because if they have like one flight to Denver and then, catching is late, so it's still a 24-hour thing. Companies of the size that we wanna get are that smaller size, it's not gonna steal from everybody else at each.
Sure.
15 to 30 would be ideal.
yeah,
The 2 that I've looked at, one's out of Minneapolis, the other's in Saskatchewan. The airport's important for the Minneapolis one to get here, to be able to come in and out, because it could be a branch location or a secondary type location, which it was in that case.
yeah.
But then the problem is, it's just we're a little too close to Canada. I mean, I think they'd rather be in Omaha or a Sioux Falls, a little bit farther away.
Sure.
They want to be in a rural community, but then it comes back to, some of those issues.
Yeah.
Financially wise, I mean, look at Grand Forks. Grand Forks, they've got a lot of riches over there and they're fighting. Have you seen the plan?
Yeah.
There's a pretty big reason they're fighting.
Yeah, it's China, Commissioner, that's true.
I don't wanna get into that.
Yeah, I know, but at the same
Too
time,
bad it's over there.
it's also 150 workers, 300 workers, the construction, multiple, the big time dollars, and it's a 50-50 scenario for them as a community, so.
Yeah, it's tough battle, I mean.
The good news is workforces that we have and the strengths that we have with Campcraft in the Lake region, excellent positives, the airport's the third positive, and then childcare and some of the other things that we've talked about. And the fact that we have a growth fund that is growing, that we can, take some dollars and do.
I do think that we underestimate the importance of Campcraft.
Oh,
It's tremendous, over 200 full-time employees out there, with their families and here living in the community, contributing to it and contributing economically.
And many of them wanting to stay here
And wanting to
afterwards.
stay.
So their workforce and the retirements that they have,
Yeah.
contributing to the workforce, that's one of the selling points of the materials that I use.
And we'll continue to work on that airport and make sure that we have essential air service continued operations.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have it.
I can't stress that
So
enough.
so vitally important, yep. So 100% agree with that. So,
I like your show and tell story. I mean, that's gonna work.
yeah,
It is, it really is.
My butt's on the line because I've kind of pushed forward of the 6 counties.
It's gonna work.
We're thinking of the counties that we have. We've got Towner, we've got Eddy, we've got Benson, we've got Ramsey, and what am I missing? Well, that's our region. It's, our city is the size.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Take the show to the kids.
we'll see.
Do you think we've taken a hit on the expensive housing yet?
I think that's hurt us some. But you know, we do have lower cost housing. When you look at the communities around, I've talked to 2 or 3 families that have moved here that are living in communities in the outskirts areas and driving 15, 20 miles and loving it. That isn't that big of a deal, coming from an Edmore or whatever. So we've got to look more at that too. We're Ramsey County, but our work shed is bigger too.
We
There's
could
a,
use rental housing.
huh?
We could use more rental
God,
housing.
we're already at about 55%. You know, it's amazing what rental to ownership. We've got a higher rental than ownership, but really, it's real close to that.
So with interest rates come up, do you think it's gonna go the other way? Usually it does.
Yeah.
It follows.
Yeah, over time. That'll be true.
Something else we'll have to look at in the future, right?
I shouldn't have taken this much time. I kind of use this as an update as well.
Raining outside.
I get others behind.
It's an interesting question about housing though, because you talk about overall housing availability, but then you also talk about housing stock and age. And yeah, we have housing, but we have a lot of old housing. And we have a lot of old housing that needs redevelopment. Well, then how do you redevelop old housing when people don't necessarily have equity in those homes? How do you go get an equity loan? How do you, I mean, there's a lot of questions that it's economic development. It is, it's just a matter of how you get there. So we have a lot of quality of life questions. We talk about quality of life, we talk about workforce development constantly, because when we try to attract businesses, that's what they ask. Schools, healthcare, quality of life.
Transportation, they're in and out.
Yep, in and out.
I'm a good example of that.
Holistic
My
thing.
kids understand what it means to find a devil's lake.
The only
Versus
reason I asked
fire.
about the housing is because that's, when we bring someone on, that's the hardest stuff.
Yeah.
And
You know,
housing is the hardest.
the hospital, the whole new hospital situation, our healthcare situation, we didn't talk about that, but that is a big part of it, quality of life as well. As that gets settled and we get a resolution out of it, the city, we're on hold right now, we've got 50-some lots that could be given away and incentivized to move to. And we're kind of waiting a little bit for the housing, for the healthcare situation to see. 5, 6 of them are really close to that area up there, the Walmart and the land that's been optioned by Essentia.
Okay.
Anything
That
else?
would have cut you off, but we gotta get back.
Yes, I apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad, appreciate it.
Thank you. Sorry, Lisa.
Lisa's up next.
I apologize, I don't have my printout because I ran to Fargo this morning and gave my daughter the keys and she's frozen, so I went to print them out and I'm like, oh, I guess so, but it's all very much the same, except for Candy helped me out with the mill levy, which I appreciate very much. So basically, we don't have a lot of changes other than I don't, like Brad said, I liked how he let off. I'm the biggest amount, the salary for me, in the budget. However, without any healthcare arrangements, less than what probably would have to pay if someone needed healthcare. And then every cost, because of just cost of living, will go higher this year. We, it's always the topic, is the roof, and it will be again this year. It's just until it gets, and last year I wanted to replace the whole thing, when I still would love to replace the whole thing, but that's just not gonna happen. So sealing the copper, it seems to be very viable and a good solution for that. And then replacing the rubber around, much cheaper, clearly, because you don't have to worry about the whole architecture of the building. And if the copper is still okay and sealing it, then why go through ripping the whole roof apart? Anyway, that is not in the budget. There is a portion of the budget that says roof repair, and that is just a quick fix, and it's really needed. It is a gentleman that we talked to that will go in and he'll patch some of the roof, reseal in the inside, because roofers won't go into the roof. They'll patch everything on the roof, but they won't go like into our attic, which you have to do to repair that roof. So he'll seal in there, he'll fix one of the drains, and he'll create kind of a safety catch, so that if it does start breaching again, the water starts coming in, we'll know. Right now, we don't know until, sorry, until it's coming in the courtroom, and it is. And I have the courtroom, I'm not moving those tarps, I'm not moving those baby pools until it's safe, because it'll just continue to wreck everything.
So you have baby pools in there collecting water?
Yes.
What is total roof repair cost?
Well, it depends. The total roof repair, they were talking about $200,000.
Okay, so
Or
you're,
more, that was last year.
that's if you deal with the architecture, all of those
Yeah,
things.
probably double
The
that.
one that you're talking about, when we try to use the copper, we do the rubber, what kind of cost do you think we're looking at?
100. Because drains are involved and, I'm not positive on that amount. I am going to be, doing an ARPA application. It doesn't, that is you'll see those numbers.
Well,
You haven't gotten quotes from anybody?
No, I have.
Is there anybody in town that will look at it?
Tecta will.
Okay.
And, A&R, I'm gonna give them another, we have, I have a bill on our desk that Tecta still wants us to pay, and it's still raining inside, so I'm holding that aside. So I'm looking at all options, and some people don't even call back. I'm sure they think of our building and they go, I don't know, I don't wanna deal with that thing. But I will have a bid or two for the.
I'm not saying that we're gonna fund it, but
No, I know,
we've
yeah.
been dealing with this for as long as I've been on the commission, and that's like a landmark building in downtown for the low guy. If we can't find a way to fund it, I don't know what we do. I mean.
Well, and without the roof.
Let's find, without a roof, you don't have a building
Yeah,
anymore,
right.
so
Yeah, and
we
the
gotta find a
steps
way to get it
The
done.
roof needs to be done 100%, but that's, what you're seeing on this budget
Yeah.
is just a fix to get us.
Well, and at the end of the day, the Heritage Center on the budget, on $100,000 expense even, it's just, it's untenable, so we have to find a way to get creative, whether it's through the ARPA funds, or you have to have one hell of a bake sale.
Yeah,
Something of that nature, but we gotta find a way.
we just have to. It's,
When the state was looking at their, wasn't a special session to divvy out the state's portion of ARPA monies, and did Senator Elke ask for a request for, was it 70,000?
I think 83,
83?
I could be wrong, but yes, he did.
Who made the request, Jeff?
Senator Elke.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we get
it was
funded.
denied, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
even.
Everybody else got money.
Right,
We did.
yeah. But,
Yeah.
yeah, please get a request
Oh,
in.
I will.
I think that's something we need to take care of.
Well, there aren't many towns our size in this country that have an old federal courthouse.
Right, yeah, and it's, and
It's
it is
a
in
beautiful
a
building.
very, very good shape. When you guys talk about Roger and those floors, I would love those floors. They do a fabulous job with upkeep with this building.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, it just needs to be done. It's a thorn in my side every day, but I do my best to keep it as safe as I possibly can, so.
And you do. It looks good in there.
I try.
You do a good job.
You
And good job on the Art Fest.
Yes, thank you. That's where I was
Great
going to
job.
Fargo, returning
Great
about
job.
$45,000 worth of art in the back of my vehicle. Just,
Great job.
Thank you. It's fun, and, it's not a moneymaker, I think we'll probably get about $2,000 out of that. But it's for the community, and it's really to say, hey, we're open, come in our building. This isn't just a big building on the corner. We're here, so come in. Get a ton of people.
Unfortunately, for some reason, a lot of the things that make a community great, that are quality of life type of things, don't make money. But we just, as a community, have to make a decision, we're gonna invest in them, because we wanna make it a place where people wanna come and live.
Yep,
And we also talked about the stairs,
those stairs, yes.
outdoor
So
stairs.
the stairs
Because
Upstairs.
is, yeah, because they're steps. They
the
said it's-
steps,
Yeah, the steps in the top. So those steps, you know, they can't be mud jacked, no way, shape or form. What they are, what's supporting those steps are like pillars of, bricks. And it's the mortar between the bricks that's giving way. So that's why they're kind of going, wonky. They're not gonna fall in or anything, but don't look good. They need to be stable. So the last quote for that was a long time ago, and that was like $30,000. And I would guess if it was the same historical company, it would be triple that. But I have talked to the city with some of their engineers, and they're like, there is no reason why we couldn't help you guys with that. Just looking at them, they've looked underneath, they're like, you pull them off, you re-stabilize them, and you put them back on. So that is something that I think we can do much less costly if we work with the city. And, you know, obviously there's labor involved and there's machinery rental, but I'm hoping that that can be something that can be done on that level instead of, you know, getting people in and, so, but I will, you know, I can look at, I just wanna get that roof done. I'm sorry, I'm super focused on that roof.
That's good.
Yeah.
Great, further questions, please?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you, appreciate it.
thank you, Lisa.
Okay, District Alan.
I have Ashley Peterson here with me, who is gonna take over my position here October 1st. So I got her along with me. She helped with the budget and is learning everything that has to go on in Lake Region District Health. So yeah, it's a good process. Our budget compared to last year for Ramsey County, it came out to about $285,326. Last year was $266,990. So there's a little bit of an increase there this year, but not too bad. We're according to 21 land value, we'll be sitting about 4.3 mils. I'm sure that'll change a little bit when 22 comes in, but probably go down a little bit. But that's where we're sitting right there. I know you got the budget in front of you. Is there any part of it that you have questions on?
What were you at for mills last year? Alan, do you have it off the top of your head?
Oh boy, the mills last year was 4 points, can't remember.
So it's pretty similar.
4.1 or something, right close, yeah, it wasn't much different.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying, yeah, so we still have that 21, we still have that 21 mil value in there, so once we get the 22 mil in there, then it'll probably be somewhat, pretty close to stable, yeah. Okay.
Last time I looked at that, it was really close to last.
Right, yeah,
Really
so,
Okay, good.
that's what we.
I know.
Don't complain about rain outside.
So, and, the board did, give, the staff a cost of living increase, the same as Ramsey, 4%. You know, with the cost of living going up. Basically, the reasoning behind that would be to retain our employees. That's, the big reason. We finally got up where, with that market study we done twice, we've got our employees, so they're kind of in the middle of the pack in the state, where we were on the bottom before, so we're doing pretty good there. We just like to maintain our staff, because it's very difficult to find good staff. We were very excellent, got very lucky with Ashley here. She's got 12 years of experience coming in public health and the service, so we were very lucky to get her. So, but if there's any individual, whether it's expenses or revenue, I'd be glad to state them. And then, if not, we need to decide when the last meeting is. I had it set for October 4th, when everybody's gonna be in Bismarck, I found out. So I have to reset that, and all the other three counties can make it on the last, or I mean, the third Tuesday in September, which is the 20th, I believe. But you guys go at 5 o'clock, so you'd have to come in at 8, or, you know, instead in the morning. Would that work for you guys?
Is it September?
September 20th.
Really great if we could do it till Al can retire. Not that I don't wanna see him, but.
It's all by phone as well. so-
Yes, it's all by
So
phone.
if somebody has a conflict. It's not on.
Yeah.
Somebody else if they have to. Yeah, I think that'll work.
Yeah.
We could try to do that as well. If it's- Yeah, we could make that one change, that's good.
Right in, go right in there.
Yeah, just have it recorded as the, yeah, we just move 5:30 to 8, just for that day. That'd be okay.
Yeah, that's what Eddie had to do, they call that special meeting, because they only have, they're down to one meeting a month, that's it. So they called a special for the 20th, so, yeah.
And that'd be reasonable. Yeah, I think that'll work just fine.
Well, thank you, appreciate it, appreciate it very much.
Any questions for Al?
Your hearings this morning go good with the other counties?
Pretty good, 10, 15 minutes at Benson, and about a half an hour plus at Pierce. They always have a lot of questions, Pierce County, but, they went good, they were all positive. So, we have one more, in Eddy County on, next week.
Yeah.
So, they're all looking very good. Good.
Sounds good.
Great.
Welcome.
And Ashley, thank you.
Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We'll see you on the 20th.
All right.
All right, very good, thanks.
Oh, 8:30.
Okay.
Well, we'll start at 8.
We'll start at 8. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll make a note that
Yep.
we're gonna make a meeting change.
Yep.
Perfect.
As such. Okay, Rob, you're up.
Good evening.
Evening.
So, I know you guys are crunched for time a little bit, so I'm not gonna go detail by detail, through our budgets. I guess what I'll start with on the LEC side is just kind of showing, 911 hasn't been changed comparatively much. And actually your projections for 911 will have gone up a little bit, but that's because you see an increase in your usage of 911 compared to the other counties, in the city of Douglas Lake. Let me see. So on the 911 side, what you really want to focus on when you're looking at our budgets, so like on the 911 side is the joint powers revenue. That is what our actual projected shortfall is for 911. 911 stays pretty static, it doesn't change much. We have about a $35,000 increase in our projected shortfall from what we had for 22 to what we're projecting for 23, which comes out to just less than 6%. And part of that is due to some of the things that we're looking to do, but it's pretty minimal. On the LEC side, is the big one, and the big issue that we have on the LEC side is when you look at the projected contract revenues. We've reduced our projections for contract revenues for 23 by $375,000 from what we projected for 22. When you compound that with our labor cost increase of about $150,000, our overall projection for our cost share formula or our projected shortfall is about $484,000 more than what we projected for 22. And Ramsey County's portion of it continues to escalate and will continue to escalate, I fear, just based on the way that the criminal justice system is working these days. The city of Devils Lake, the vast majority of the arrests that they make are all getting bumped up in the district court. Actually, when we're looking at the cost share formulas for the law enforcement center side, Ramsey County's increased by 2.96% over what it was for 2022. And that's just because the share of incarceration keep climbing. So essentially, right now, what I'm looking at is tomorrow morning is our board meeting. Our budget isn't approved or anything. I'm looking for guidance or direction, or for you to give guidance or direction. Your representatives to come to our board with some of the changes that maybe you want to see, or if there's a goal that you would like us to try and achieve specific to the budgets, so that we can see what we can do to try and make that happen.
So Rob, on the contract, costs, the reduction in those. Now, it's been about a year since we've been in that non-compliance, DOCR, so we didn't have, contracts for 2022, did we?
So we did our budget so early in 21 for 22,
No.
that all that happened after that. And that's part of the issue where we get our budgets going so early, that when something like that happens, it's hard to adjust.
So the LAC cost share portion for Ramsey County up $402 or $460,000.
Yeah, let me look through real quick just to verify.
So it goes from 462 to 802 on the LAC cost share.
Yeah, 462 to 802, yeah.
I'm not quite at 400.
Yeah, 340.
340.
We're looking at a $426,000 increase on the projection from last year, actual budgeted. I appreciate the charts in here because it's kind of interesting to look at what the split's doing and how we've gone just in the past 2 years from, what, 59% to 60, almost 66%. So I mean, it's telling you that basically we're just increasing the burden here. I mean, I don't think we all do that anecdotally, just looking at it, but it's nice seeing actual percentages on how the operation is running.
And big portion of ours is obviously incarceration. We can put out to the public, stop breaking the law. You know, so, but that doesn't seem to work. So, one of those necessary things that we need to continue doing.
Is there any way the sheriff and both can convince people to break the law someplace else?
I know this isn't my time, but I guess I don't see any way around it, because Devil's Lake is the hub, and people come from all the outlying counties to business here, and I'd rather catch them and deal with them than.
Yep, they'd have them on the streets.
Sweep it under the rug.
Yep.
I don't believe in that, so.
Oh, I agree completely.
Yeah.
Just obviously.
Well, it's just frustrating that it, you know, the costs continue to escalate, and, you know, to know nobody's fault in sitting in the room here, it's, you know, people breaking the law.
Well, and every employee who has a cost of labor is higher, cost of keeping the lights on and heat on is higher, medical costs are higher, everything goes higher. I mean, I just, and I'm not faulting the LEC, I'm just looking at it from the standpoint, you know, like, in the past 3 years now, we're gonna be at $800,000 under this projection.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to keep the community safe, we have to do what we have to do, but that's $800,000 that we could be using to do a roof on something, or upgrade a building, or, you know, I mean, but we have to put it here because this is what has to happen. It's just, it gets frustrating because we have so many things we'd like to do, but when you get down with this is what has to be done.
In the past, you know, law enforcement center has, you know, taken a lot of the overburden on the taxpayers because they've been able to house contracted prisoners.
Right.
And if you look for 22 budget, just from the federal or U.S. Marshal Service, we're supposed to have $412,000. We're not anywhere near that for 23, and we only have 75,000 projected for 23 for Marshal Service. So the sooner we can get the jail back in the good graces of the DOC, the sooner we can take some of this burden off of the taxpayers in Ramsey County and all the other entities also.
No,
But it's just gonna take time to get COs in place, get COs trained, and have the jail functioning on a good level.
yeah.
So hopefully in the short term it goes well, hopefully in the long term we turn out a better product to use.
Just out of curiosity, what are we trending on for 22 for incarceration days right now?
Right now, everything's kind of a cluster because of the fact that
Oh,
the
yeah.
farmers should be people out.
Yeah.
So I'm gathering and keeping that data, but I haven't had a chance to integrate it in with our actual numbers.
But I'm just, we went from 13,000 to 13,700 to 16,000 last year, and I'm guessing we're trending in that vicinity now. I mean, it's just gonna continue this way.
So, and when you look at it to where there's been with the situation we currently got going on operationally, there's been more of an effort to reduce those numbers, but you're still gonna see where they're escalating. So if we were under normal operations, and once we do get back to normal operations, the floodgates are open. I mean, there's a lot of warrants out there that I know the sheriff, people are getting picked up in other counties that are like, wow, that's a non-violent low level, we're not gonna pick them up. So once we are back to normal operations, all those individuals now are gonna be coming in on those warrants, and so you're gonna see the numbers go up even higher.
Okay,
Mhm.
further questions on the LEC portion?
Okay, so switch hats.
Switch hats.
We'll run over to SAFE, and I'm glad that Mel's here, because I didn't make the last meeting with SAFE, but annually, we generally come looking to get some contributions from the counties that we serve in the city of Ellis Lake for SAFE. SAFE is highly dependent upon grant funding and donations, and so most of the grants that we do have are reimbursable grants. And so we need to have a cash flow that we can utilize to expend out before we actually get those reimbursable grants that come in. And so that's what we come and that's what the money is primarily used for. With that, I know that Noah will have probably have some stats for you on the services that they're providing. SAFE, I think, continues to grow and provide an essential service within the communities. And yeah, go ahead.
So in the letter that I sent to you guys, in 2021, we answered 373 crisis calls, provided 139, provided advocacy services to 139 victims of domestic violence, 34 victims of sexual assaults, 17 families stayed in shelter with 447 total bed nights. We did facilitate 16 training events with 653 attendees throughout the year. I did give a little brief on what our current stats were, and that was only through January to June 30th. I just ran the stats from January to July 19th, and we're up to, from the 120 crisis calls, we are now up to 143, so additional 20 in just 15 days for crisis calls. 18 families for shelter, so we've already put 4 families in 15 days for shelter, with a total, with an additional 31 bed nights to add to that total, so 227 bed nights. Provided 78 advocacy to 78 victims of domestic violence. We're up to, which is an additional 14, and 1 additional sexual assault in the last 15 days. So our sexual assaults have really increased, especially since we're working with the FBI more in doing those sexual assault forensic medical exams. The services we still provide, advocacy services, criminal justice, legal advocacy, supervised visitations and exchanges, forensic medical interviews, forensic medical exams, offender treatment program, which we now have a waiting list for, because we can only have up to 15 people in our class at a time, and we're at that now. We have women's offender classes as well. So we have 3 attending that right now. So I'm, requesting the 16, but if you want to give me more, I would greatly appreciate it. Any questions?
Well, safe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you do. If we can find more, we'll do more.
Yeah.
Is there a budget shortfall that you have? Is there more that you could do?
Our federal funding was told to us that we're gonna see almost a 50% cut from that, which then, that is the majority where we get our grant funding. So, yeah, we're gonna have probably a shortfall.
What is the total federal grant funding right now, for curiosity?
I would say our total budget's around 625,000, and 75% of that is our federal grants. And I have 22 grants I write. So and I have to have a lot of match money for those grants, so the county donations, the private donations all go towards my match. And, so yeah, and we have been trying to find other ways, to help with our budget. We did just move our business offices over to Dakota Prairie Community Action to help with wraparound services for our clients, which also gives a safety net for the victims, because they can come in and the offender doesn't know why they're coming in now. It could be for getting utility assistance, and they would never know. So, SAFE also, well, the Salvation Army contracted with SAFE, so SAFE is providing case management with Salvation Army as well.
What was your total budget again?
Around 625,000. Yeah.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Seeing none, we got Homeless Coalition, should we knock that out before we start the meeting? Technical further? Okay, that's how it's listed. Go ahead.
Okay, so, and real quick, not looking for any money or anything on the Region 3 Homeless Coalition at this time. And I'll be glad Belle's here for this as well, because and I'm not sure, because it's been a month, I think, or so since we've had conversations. But we've been talking with Mission on Grand Forks. They've been interested in potentially coming and establishing a presence here in Devils Lake, and we've been working with SAFE, through SAFE, to see about having one campus where we can have all the services in one location, kind of like what you talked about, to where there'd be homeless shelter, potentially domestic violence shelter, soup kitchen, the food pantry, and then other just office space for services for Human Service Center, Dakota Prairie Community Action, Salvation Army, for all these entities to come in and provide service to these individuals. We're looking to partner with them. I know we've had some conversation on whether or not SAFE would be an organization that could take that on. I think when you've seen the grant funding that's starting to maybe go away a little bit now with the, I'm not sure where we're going to be on that. But I think for me, one of the big things on the Region 3 Homeless Coalition is we need more presence. Kind of been dragging this thing along. I tried to resign as the president of the coalition here a few months back, but if I did, then it would just fail, and I don't want to see it just fail. It's a huge need within our region. Some of the things that we're trying to do is we want to establish an actual count, get a count for what our homeless population is, and not just those who are unsheltered, but also our sheltered homeless. Because I think a large portion of our homeless population is sheltered. They're just those couch surfers. And to just make sure that all of our organizations are seamlessly transitioning clients from one agency to the next and getting the services and connecting to everyone that they need. Yeah, and it's just a brief update. I don't know if you have anything to add.
So Sue is the director of the mission in Grand Forks. Sue and I have been having meetings. It looks like we are possibly going to be the forerunners in coming in and providing the financial stability of trying to do the capital campaign raising and whatnot for this homeless shelter campus that we're looking at. Our homeless coalition met. And, there was discussion that they were gonna talk to the Amachi board, for the homeless shelter here in town. That didn't happen, reschedule. Otherwise, as he was saying, the hick and pick count, trying to find these couch surfers and all these other people that are homeless. We are working on getting numbers presented for that. So instead of having the count in January in the winter.
Okay, further questions on that? Looks like there's a need there too. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll step out.
Oh, sorry, yep, you sure can. I was flipping,
I'll
yep.
lose it.
I was trying not to talk loud.
All right,
I tried to number as many things as possible.
we'll call the meeting to order for a second. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries. Agenda. And we have amended agenda from the original that went out, correct?
Yes. Yeah, about 3 times.
Oh, right on the bottom there. Okay, yeah, we had some additional stuff. Okay. 2, 3, 4.
5 times.
Anything to add to the agenda from the commission? Right. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. And we are up to Paul.
Yes, sir.
Afternoon.
I guess I'm here to further the process. The vote has been done, taken care of for the disillusionment, it passed. I'm a little gray on the century code, but there needs to be some stuff done on your part at this point. We're ready. We have all of our stuff in line out at the city. We're just waiting for the county to move forward with the letter.
Okay.
You know, it has to be out in the paper 4 times, and then you guys have to set a date, an ending date for us officially, so the state can be notified. So I guess I'm just kind of here to sweep her along here. Sweep her along.
Move the ball down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to put it in the paper 4 times, correct? You said?
It's gotta be published once a week for 4 consecutive weeks to notify the public.
Okay, so and then is there a hearing that the public can attend to say they're against it if they're from there, or what's the point of advertising it? It's just intent to go
It's
that
just
way.
a notice.
Okay.
To let them know that it's
happening.
So if you had any business with the city that's incorporated, you could hypothetically then deal with them while the city is still incorporated. Do you guys have a preference?
Sooner the better.
Sooner the better. It doesn't matter for books or anything of that nature, or?
Does it what?
Doesn't matter for the books or anything like
There is
that?
there is a couple of things that we get a couple of small stipends from the state. One of them's roads, and the other one is state aid. That comes to us on the 21st of every month. So obviously, you know, the July one will be tomorrow. So that'll go into our checking account, but hopefully, you know, and if we had to take one more, if we had to take August, you know, that would be fine, but hopefully by September, you know, everything can jive, and so we don't have to take any more money. So that when, you know, September comes around, we can be done. No more checks will be coming, we can turn our cash we have left over to you guys, and then be done. That's where we're kind of looking at. I talked to Candy on the phone yesterday a little bit about it, and, you know, we had our meeting last night there too, and, you know, that would coincide with it, because we have no more bills left. We will not expound any more checks after last night. Everything in the city is paid for. The only thing that will come in is these things from the state into our checking account, otherwise we're done financially.
So when does the paper publish now? The week or? Well, I know, but when's the earliest we can get it in, because it has to be once a week, separated by a week. I would assume it's South Century Code agrees for 4 weeks. So when's the earliest we can get the first ad in?
Too late for this week.
Okay.
So I would have to get it to the paper by tomorrow in order to start next week.
Okay, so when does it start next week? When's the first publication date then?
Where does it go? Tuesday?
Monday, Wednesday,
No.
Thursday.
No, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
So the earliest we'd have it in is the 26th then. The 26th, 2nd, 9th, 16th would be the 4 publication dates. So could we set a date of the 31st of August, or actually we could close it up even before the payment then technically, right?
No, it comes the 21st of August.
Well, the 16th would be the last publication.
You ain't gonna have time to get the state notified to get that stopped.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, okay, so the 31st of August would be a good date then, maybe?
Either that or the first, any time early in September.
It might be closing book, closeout, would it
Yeah,
be like September 1st to make it effective?
We could, yeah.
Because then we would close out August and then we'd be done.
And then if there was any, I can't know if there's any back taxes.
Oh, there's none.
Oh, there is none, okay. Then if there is none, then we don't have to worry about that, which way it would
The
go.
only other check that we're waiting for, that should be here by then, is from, Insure Forward or Fire and Tornado Fund or whatever that one is there. We've got a $533 credit coming back because obviously we didn't stay with them. But I think that'll be in there. That should be in there also. And then I guess the only other order of business that I'm interested in is what's the county gonna do? What do you got? Are you gonna turn over the township, or are you guys gonna keep it? Or who's gonna be the head totem pole dude?
What do you want us to do? Paul?
I have talked to the Cooley Township guys. They say they take it, but they're just a little reluctant. I really don't know why. I mean, with 3 families over there, other than snow removal problems, if there is any, I mean, that's the only thing they're gonna get a bitch from. There isn't anything else. There just isn't.
Who is going to, continue to mow all the vacant lots, Paul?
You're looking at
You're
it. I fully intend to do that.
You're gonna.
I've done it, I told you that.
I know.
Those people I've done it for 14 years, out of my pocket, I plan to continue. So, yeah, it'll stay as you see it today. I told the alumni board, when we had our alumni thing in June, they were all bummed out, you know, thought it was gonna be a wreck like the other side of the tracks. I said, no, don't worry about that, it'll all stay as you see it today, as long as I'm alive. After that, I can't say. So if I kick over tomorrow, I can't say. All I can tell you, as long as I'm healthy enough to get on and work, I have a couple chicklings in my pocket, I'll take care of it.
I thank you in advance for that. Seriously,
Costs a lot.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could have a contract employee or, hey, and give them some.
I ain't looking for that, I don't wanna come to no more meetings.
No.
I just wanna be done with all that too.
I know you're not looking for it and not expecting it, but I think that you shouldn't have to take it on as your responsibility. you know, whether we compensate for gas or your time, I think, because otherwise it would be the county's responsibility to do it. You know, Kevin and his crew would have to be.
Well, you do realize that everything that's left over there is FEMA.
Right.
And, you know, with FEMA, they just as soon have the grass and weeds as high.
Yeah.
They don't care.
We're not supposed to touch it.
They don't care,
No.
you know, but as long as there are people living there, I mean, it's just not gonna happen. And as far as, you know, having it attached, I don't want any responsibility. Because if something happens, I get sick or I get hurt, and I'm someplace, even if I'm in my house, and I can't do it, I don't want anybody calling or knocking on my door saying, Paul, why ain't you out there fixing this? Or why haven't you contacted somebody to do it? I don't want that responsibility. I'll do it, but I don't want the I don't want anybody shaking me up over it, you know what I mean?
Well.
I'm just telling you that, don't worry about it for the next 20, I hope.
Well, I think the intent was, we talked about it when Kevin budgeted too, about, you know, snow removal, road blading, things of that nature. I think under century code, if I am correct, don't we have to take it on? We can't turn it back out?
I don't have it at my fingertips.
I was just trying to recall what the century code read when we went through this initially, when we approved you guys over the ballot. I think it said essentially the county has to take it.
Right.
I don't think we, but we're gonna take care of snow, we're gonna take care of blade. I mean, that's basically what it'll come down to.
Yeah.
No, it's just snow removal.
Yeah.
That's all it is, there's nothing in the summer. There's not enough traffic there, I got the streets in really good shape, so.
Well, they're already doing the township roads, I think, so they'll swing in and.
Well, we're way out on the edge, you know, you got nothing there, the other roads went underwater this spring, so it's a long way for Soggy to come over there too, just to go up and down one little road there, so, but not in the winter time. I ain't gonna do it, I'll do mine, but I ain't doing the rest.
We'll make sure it gets taken care of. That's it. Well, at the very least, we can figure out how that's gonna happen, but I guess we have to have a motion to begin publication and then set a dissolution date of September 1st then?
You want to set it at our next regular meeting in September, or no?
No,
I think we have to set the date because that's how it's advertised.
Yeah.
But there's nothing at the end you have to have a motion for then?
I think if we make a motion for dissolution, it dissolves after the publication and September 1st, there's no longer a say.
Well, I mean, it would be okay to make a motion because in here it's, what's that one?
And I kind of think that money it has to come back to the county.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
all
I think
public
it
records
does.
of the dissolved city shall be deposited with the county.
Yeah.
Yep, I knew that.
Okay,
So that will give us time to get the notice out, to get the state notified, to get the account, you know, you and I'll.
Yeah, and there'll be roughly 2,800 or 2,900 coming back to you guys.
okay.
We haven't been billed for the June vote yet either, so you probably have to take that out after the fact, and just let you guys take that out, I'd rather than having another bill.
Right.
Because we haven't been, you know, we haven't billed for that yet, so.
Maybe I'll just.
Yeah, well, just so you know, it'll come over, that's about how much it'll come over, pretty darn close.
All right.
So does it state in there that the county commission has to set the dissolution date?
If a majority of the votes cast on the question are in favor of dissolution, the county commissioners shall set a date upon which dissolution will become effective, provided provisions have been made for payments of the city's indebtedness, contracts, obligations, and for levying the requisite tax to do so.
Yeah.
Current indebtedness, contracts, obligations do not include funded or bonded indebtedness, nor any contract whose termination date is more than 1 year beyond the date the election was held.
So we have to set a date.
So we have to set a
So
date.
we have to have a motion to set a date.
Yes.
Sounds like Paul's cleaned up everything else, so it's gonna come down to being in the paper, and that's about it.
And then this, let me see, okay, so there's that, then there's the paper. The Board of County Commissioners shall assume control of all property belonging to the dissolved city and shall employ a qualified person to manage and operate the property and to collect all charges, but like you said, there is no charges.
Take it all.
So, Yep. Yep.
Well, I guess I'd entertain a motion.
okay.
So moved.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second to advertise, to set a dissolution date for Church's Fair of September 1st, 2022, and to advertise according to Century Code. Further discussion on the motion.
Everybody's happy with this?
Yeah, there was a vote was 5-1, and I'll just tell you that the one, you know, it's in the one of the third households. One of them must have voted no. Why, I don't know. I do believe that the reason there was one dissenting vote is because they realized they're going to be on their own.
Okay.
So that's as close as you can get. Five out of 6.
Well, and at the end of the day, I mean, if the dissolution vote is passed, by Century Code, we set a date, I mean, we don't have options to say, no, or we don't like it or not, because we allowed for it to vote in the first place.
Right. And it was all up above board, it was all done correctly here, so.
That's good.
And the only other thing I'll add is you only have one piece of property that will be yours in town. Everything else has been dispersed of, except our original old city hall. The alumni wouldn't take it. And it looks good, I mean, it's an older building, but it's not falling down, you know. So it'll stand there a good 20 before somebody might have to think about browsing there.
All right. Further questions?
Somebody might want to buy it.
Never know. Okay, any more questions? All in favor of the motion, vote by saying aye.
aye.
Pose same sign.
Thank you,
Motion
Paul.
carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Appreciate
your
it.
work on this,
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul.
Appreciate it. All righty. Oh,
Well, good evening. I'm in the hot seat now. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look through the budget that I provided for the state's attorney's office. We followed the guidance from the auditor and treasurer's office as far as wages and increases go. The big expense is the addition of the third attorney with the office. As you know, we had a little bit of bad luck there, but we are posted again and still looking to find somebody. On the whole, if you don't count wages, I've actually had a slight reduction in budget. There were just a few line items that were a little bit over that we could trim out on a little bit. But there is going to be one new line item for service of juvenile court paperwork. And I'm asking for $1,800 there. That's a unfunded mandate from the state. Somebody in Bismarck thought it would be a good idea to tack that on to the state's attorney's office. So we're picking up the cost of that, and then we plan to use Sheriff Nelson in the county and process servers for a lot of the county on the reservation. Any questions about the budget?
No.
Any questions in general about what the hell is going on the third floor? Okay. If you think of something, you know where to find me. Third floor, top corner.
I can't remember if it was last year or when we got the numbers for cases through your office, when you're maybe looking at an additional attorney, maybe that's always helpful.
Sure. I still think it's definitely justifiable.
Yep.
You could ask anybody up there, we're working probably a lot more than 40 hours each of us.
I just like those number kind of things.
Oh, I don't blame you. I know I came in a little thin, I didn't have nice handouts like my wife, but hopefully you won't hold that against me.
Thoroughly impressed with the other half of the Cummings family.
She's the better half, I'm the other half. So,
Good answer.
good. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Bo.
Okay, Steve.
Well,
Page 8.
I believe that's the IT one,
Yes.
and that's similar, just increased salary based off of recommendation. Did increase the maintenance 500 just because all of that went up. But the one big thing is the equipment, which I've budgeted 20,000 for a new server. It's time to replace, I guess. Next year will be probably out of operating system will be out of updates and so that'll need to be replaced next year.
Okay, questions on that for the budget? Okay, page 15.
All right, and GIS budget, same salary, and I did increase the other line there by 1,500, which is annual maintenance for the drone to map software that, yes, if we decide to continue. And the city didn't want to participate, but it would be there, I guess.
Question?
Is that, you don't have any miscellaneous under travel or is that under the miscellaneous supplies?
It all gets lumped into there.
Into there? Cause that annual conference in San Diego,
Yeah, right,
that's included in that miscellaneous
right,
supplies deal, okay.
and the software maintenance, and paper and ink for the plotter and all
That water still maintaining and working good?
It seems to be that sometimes an issue with the scanner. Maybe in a couple of years we'll.
Still hanging in there.
It's 10 years old now.
Yeah, I was just thinking how long that's been since you got that, so it's been a good piece of equipment.
Okay. Any more questions? Seeing none?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Thought you were doing something. All right, Candy's up next. Candy's got all kinds of pages. We're on page 4.
Okay. 4. My office budget. Nothing really changed. Yeah. Just the wage, portion of what was recommended. in my, oh yeah. I got my technology department covered. And so
Okay,
I left the part-time in there for just in case. Yep.
okay, page 11.
Just mark them off as I go. 11. Let me see, life insurance, that's the 28 cents that we pay for each employee. That's the $200 that we seem to just hold as fine.
28 cents
28 cents.
for the month, per month, per year? Per year?
Yeah.
28 cents.
28 cents, yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what you get for $200 then? You hold, or you.
Like, well, that's just the county,
Yeah, if you wanna buy more, you can
Yeah.
buy more.
Yeah.
But
So we're getting, how much are we
pretty much-
getting for 28 cents?
Is it 5,000?
It's a casket policy.
Yeah.
But it
Oh,
really gets
28,
you for
28 cents is pretty.
Can you
Pretty
buy
reasonable.
more for that kind of
You
money?
can, yeah, and then it will.
Yeah, why
like,
don't we
it'll
make it
cost.
56 cents? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give 10 grand.
Jesus.
But they.
5,000 is what it is?
Interesting.
You should have enough to carry a person probably.
Right, right.
How you got a star behind this?
Because, like, well, I mean, because I made a note for myself, because, we're supposed to be getting, figures this week. Yeah,
No, that's fine.
Yep.
I figured maybe you had noted that you had a note.
nope.
That's been there all the time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always been there.
Why don't we put a little bit on there?
Yeah, we can always increase it and then just overspend the budget, cause we'll only be like $100 in the hole. Then we can put $300 in.
Yeah, workers' comp, we're waiting, for email on that. So that's why there's a star beside it, so I just left it the same amount. Unemployment insurance, if we, like, we've never used it, I don't know what it's for. It's just there. Then we go to 11A, which is the North Dakota Association of Counties dues that we pay every year. And there's, no, I mean, we're within the amount. Go 13. State fire and tornado is the buildings. We saw, just because there were things on there that weren't on there, and there was different value, I mean, they up values. So there's where the increase comes in. The liability insurance, that's the vehicle and the equipment portion. And that's the, new vehicles get rid of, just a little bit of increase for that. It's still reasonable. $17,000 for our buildings. Yeah.
Cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 17 grand, pretty reasonable.
The next page is legals and publications. I'm gonna check that again, just because I think I can decrease that. Yeah, it's, it's expensive, it's really expensive to publish in the paper, but everything's done by email. You don't talk to anybody on the phone.
You don't wanna put it in the paper anymore?
No,
We
no,
still have
it's,
to.
yeah, we still have to.
But you just send it to
You
them,
just send everything in an email format and,
so it's gotten a lot cheaper, you said?
no, no.
Simple to do.
You know, we've
Simple,
only
yeah.
spent $1,400 and we're already 6 months, you know,
Which is kind of crazy.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna look back at where, you know, where other things, what else came out of there. To see if we're, you know. Next page is the North Dakota water users, the $200 that we pay every year. We have a little piece of paper on our bulletin board that says remember.
You a lot of value for that.
I know. It comes colorful.
Like $200 for electric.
So the next page is postage. I did have it as 35,000, but, when we went to convention, there is a change within the postal federal mandate, something that the federal people had control of how often the post office could change their rates. Well, now all that's changed.
So they can change anything.
So now they give them a free for all and they can increase as much as they want, as many times a year as they want. So we've already seen an increase for this in July. And they said by the end of the year, we'll see another increase. So they figure that, you know, years that there will be at least 1 or 2 increases in postage a year. You know, and with, you know.
They're gonna break themselves, it's gonna end up going.
That, you know,
I don't know. Cost of getting things anywhere is cost, you know, get all those vehicles out on the road and whole fleet.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
You know. And I mean, I scaled it back for next year because there's not an election. Then I kind of questioned that maybe we should leave it, because I don't know if, you know, supplies are gonna go up.
Or leave it.
And by the time we send out estimates, time we
Yeah.
send out
Yeah.
tax statements and everything has to be flat or this big to go through.
Okay.
I don't know.
Then we'll leave it at 40.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to.
Oh, no.
I was trying to cut.
Trying to help.
Yep. Copier is the next. Our setup of how we have it now, it seems to work really well. I mean, we have the big copier between our 2 offices and we print larger things to there versus printers, so we're not spending as much on ink toner for our printers, so. That's that. Election. There is always, like a little surplus on off years if we have to have, any maintenance, done to our vehicles, done to our machines, but, the state has been picking up that bill since we got all the new equipment, so. That's that one. Page 17, mental health, I just left that the same. 18A, the county fair, they submitted their budget for, their 1 mil. As they always do. 18E is the Oasis and Social Security, and I upped that to 10,000. And my last page, 19. The city is staying the same as far as funds requesting, for the recycling center. Dakota programs, which is our tax and our tax program. We just got an email about that today. That fee is staying the same. The figure for North Central Planning, they receive 0.25 of, yeah, what it is, 0.25, yeah, 0.25 of a minute, yes. So that's their figure. And that helps with her match money to get funds. In lieu of checks, we just stayed the same. Paper, that stayed the same. Utilities for the sheriff's house, we haven't gone over the $1,000. That's safe, that's their figure that they requested from their letter. Lake Region Community, what is it? Region Community Shelter, which would be Brenda Bergsud. They requested $25,000 this year.
Last year was 15.
Last year was 15. And then just 6,000 for miscellaneous. That's some of the breakdown of things that come out of the miscellaneous fund. Planning and zoning, I left. I don't know where things are at with Mr. What's his name?
Lundbeck?
Yeah, there you go. With KLJ.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of trouble with our
Hazard mitigation plan.
there you go.
With the contract that they have with that as well.
I have not paid any bills. I've notified them that the bill will be paid in full until it's done. And we are, it's overdue, right? Yes, it's overdue. And we have I don't remember how many month extension that Chris told me before we have to apply again for another extension.
Yeah.
What's the bill?
And for the hazard mitigation plan,
How much?
it was,
Total, it was 36,000. And this started way last year. And every time that I would get a bill, I would ask Chris, you know, where is it at? What are we doing? Where are we at? You know, and he's like, nope, hold off on that. And then he would get a little bit more, he would get a little bit, you know, he'd get a response, and then we'd pay a bill. And now I haven't said anything, and we're 120 plus days overdue.
And this is different from their contract that they had with the comprehensive plan, but the hazard mitigation plan is for the emergency management. FEMA requires that every county have an adopted, approved hazard mitigation plan in place that's identifies your potential hazards and the mitigation efforts that you have within your county. And in order to receive any federal FEMA dollars in an event of a disaster, if you don't have a hazard mitigation plan in place, you don't qualify for FEMA dollars.
Yeah, federal funds or FEMA funds.
So if we can apply for FEMA funds,
Well,
approved for some FEMA funds.
Well,
But then we'll get held up because we don't have this in place.
it would, since we have one currently, but it has to be upgraded or updated every
2 years.
2 years or 5 years or something like that. And, so I think it was a year and a half that Chris had come in, we contracted with KLJ to do the hazard mitigation plan. And,
how current is the one we're using?
well, it's within 5 years.
It is.
And so it's still relevant and pertains, and we'll still qualify for FEMA dollars.
As long as they keep giving us extensions.
And as long as we continue to get extensions, but it's something that's gonna have to get done and get done soon.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't have had to ask for an extension in the first place. We had plenty of time to get this thing done.
Yep.
But I think that he took on so many that, I mean, and we're not the only county in that boat.
At the end of the day, then we need to lean on KLJ because we do a lot of business with them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not blaming the people that we work with on KLJ, they're great, but we gotta lean on them a little bit because we do a lot of business. with them.
There's a lot of townships that have applied for FEMA money. They've been approved.
Yeah. And I just don't know who, you know, the next one up on that.
From KLJ.
Right.
Help us to figure out who they need to talk to, because we need to put a little pressure.
Yeah.
Where's the head office, Bismarck?
Yeah.
Or do you want state's attorney to look into it?
I don't know, legal action necessarily, but I think a friendly phone call or.
You want me to do it or you want to do it?
I'll do it.
Okay. Thank you, Adam.
Hey, we need to get this thing rolling.
Yes.
Well, yeah, if we have a bill out there and then.
How much have we paid so far?
I know the outstanding balance that we have is over 13,000.
13?
Okay.
Maybe they're gonna just
pay.
So, and we both, yeah, because I reply back to the email saying that this will not be paid until we receive, you know, and then all of a sudden he'll either get a phone call or a response to the email that he sent to him, you know, the 2 months prior. So we're kind of playing.
Time to have a
Kind of playing.
voice-to-voice conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, something.
Because
Because I mean, what are we paying for? That's my thing, what are we paying for?
Well, either that or give us our money back and we'll go find somebody else.
Yeah, play
Right.
something.
We don't wanna get held up on that.
Well,
Yeah, you know, we're at the point where trying to find a new contractor would be extremely difficult.
Right.
And, you know, this thing is pretty time sensitive, so.
Well, if we don't get an extension, then we're really.
Let's see what happens, let's see what happens.
Yep, well,
I'll talk to Chris and then we'll
Okay.
figure out what we need.
Yep.
Okay. Is that the end of the budget? We
um,
kinda rolled into something else there, so.
no, that's, yep, the others I don't have figures for, so hopefully next meeting I'll have health insurance. Yep,
Be scared by that.
yep.
What are we gonna have health insurance?
It's this, they're supposed to get it to me this week. Asked them if I'm gonna have it today.
Yeah, yes.
Here's your script.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be a bigger turning factor in the budget.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Oh,
need
yeah.
this right here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be
it's pretty
before.
Don't need to worry about this.
Eh,
Percent.
It could be,
So I
it
just
could
read this in
be,
here?
it's terrible.
Do
It
we,
will be.
do we wanna
Yeah.
leave that until the end?
Can you do it at the end?
Yeah, let's move the,
Yeah.
yeah, if that's okay with everyone, we'll move the executive session again, that way we
Steve, do
can,
you wanna talk about this quote,
just cause that way we got it. Yes.
so that everybody knows
Yes.
what we've done? Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. I've been looking into upgrading the wireless Wi-Fi in the building. And yes, I talked to the state and they were here and looked around. Also NDTC. And I think what's on your desk is the NDTC. Quote.
$4,470 and
Right,
70
yeah, and there's some things I would still like to change, but I'd say roughly that's what they say. Because, like there would still be some electrical wiring, possibly other stuff that. But just a rough idea, because
This will be enough, Steve, to satisfy ARG?
I don't know about, but NDTC says it should be enough to cover the building adequately. I mean, it's not, there might be some dead spots in the corner possibly, but I guess we can figure that out. Just based off the price that it's, I guess, each one, they basically 2 per floor and 2 in the memorial building. That, and the state was thinking 4 or 5 per floor. And the state ones, basically, or to install are 5 times more than the NDTC ones.
But there are gonna be enough outlets for everybody then.
This, yeah, there's,
Okay. And are the old ones gonna be taken out, so they're not there?
yeah, we would,
There's nobody plugged into a dead one.
well, this is all wireless, but we would, yeah, like, this isn't the final, but I would say approve this and pay it stuff. Because, yeah, I tell them if there's any dead things around, pull those up too.
Right, they'll do that?
I'm sure they will.
Okay.
So this is 2 per floor,
2 per floor,
and the state wanted to do 4 or 5 per floor, you said?
yes.
So what, if the state wanted to do 4 per floor, why did we get a quote for 2?
Right? I just asked what they, maybe what they thought would cover the
What are we at currently per floor?
1.
Well, I was just wondering, because, like you said, if we do 2 per floor and we structure it properly, then if we still have a couple dead spots, can we add a third or whatever? Because I mean, they're only $275 per port run, so maybe put, the concept of we could go to 3 or even just pencil in 3 right away, because it's only $1,200 more dollars, and then for sure we know we got it covered.
Then that would take care of the dead spots.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, you're saying that there's a possibility, do we just go with 3 and just be done with it?
So maybe for $1,200 it's worth the money.
Let's get an adequate amount. I want.
I would just say go with 3 and then.
Let's just
That
get
you don't.
get it
It's
done
not
right.
bad, 3 or 4, not for $1,200.
Well, I think 3 is reasonable. I mean, if NUTC thinks 2 is gonna cover, but we wanna make sure that we have coverage, you know, maybe just jump to 1 more per course, and we got it. And we'll be done with it.
We're counting the days for very full, right? 2, so it'll be 400, covered.
Yeah. And then the memorial buildings will still have the 2, because there's only the 2 basic, you know, meeting rooms and the 2 basic.
Because when we're doing this, I don't wanna have to have them come back and then we get another $4,000.
Well, the concern of it that I would have is to say you space 2 equally, right? Or however you're gonna have to do it, then if you got some dead spots out on the ends, you're gonna have to move everything and then throw one in the middle or whatever. You know, maybe we're better off just saying, let's overcover to start with, and it could cost us a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I agree. It's not an unreasonable dollar.
I think over coverage is, you know, to err on the side of safety.
Yeah.
And are these things based on number of users, or is it bandwidth limitations, or
Would be bandwidth.
bandwidth?
So, yeah, part of this would probably have to up the package that you get from any TC, because I would like to
Keep
keep
it
it
off.
off of the network that, the state network, I guess, that we're using just for security reasons. Then all of the public is off on a completely separate network, don't have to worry about
Right.
who's connecting to the network. And
So we'll have guest sign in versus work sign in, or something of that
that,
nature.
or that would just be
Or just
basically
general,
just general public.
general public Wi-Fi?
If,
I like that.
if any department needs, like the courts already, they have two state network
I mean, that's this question about,
Wi-Fi, that, so like maybe the state's attorney would want a state network one, just so they would be on the same, walking down the hall on the same network, but.
I know when the roundup comes in the memorial building, is there enough outlets there, is everything, is there enough hookups there?
I don't think they've ever had problems there.
And they don't do much of it, or?
There's one over there all the time, and we've always moved the extension one on the second floor over, since they paid for one 10 years ago when we first put them in.
Okay.
That we moved theirs over to the basement, or, so to cover everything else over there. 2 might be enough, and I'm sure we could get a 3rd over there for even temporarily or something.
We could probably do that at any time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Well, if we're gonna have them out here, let's make sure we
Absolutely.
make sure we get it done right.
Put the 3 of them.
Okay,
Right?
that's, we're not, so you're gonna come back with another quote, basically, this is just kind of a heads up.
And I guess, are we okay with paying for it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Or,
I think we'll come back with a quote next meeting, I would say, with the changes, and then we can approve it. We want to approve the one right now.
I think let's just do it now.
Okay.
I make a motion that we go ahead with 3 per floor. And, go ahead,
Get the ball rolling.
yep, get the ball rolling and get the stuff ordered and get them installed.
Okay.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to contract with NUTC and up to 3 Wi-Fi points, access points per floor. Further discussion, and 2 of the memorial rooms. Okay, and we'll see what the bill is, but we have an idea.
Yeah.
Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pull same sign. Motion carries. Alright. And got some work to do. Okay, very good. From there, we're gonna move executive session down to the below visitors and delegations. Let's do Kevin's agenda here.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead with the motion to order the Tommy Gate hitch and parts for $4,027.
Okay.
Need a second?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, to allow Kevin to order a Tommy gate for the new pickup that will have come in, for $4,027 for the gate and everything. They'll install themselves. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, it's just an order we're not paying, so all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next order would be Morris Seal Coats, has given us the invoice for chip sealing, total was $541,821.57.
It looks good.
Does it? Haven't been on it yet. So they'll be, striping the chip seal project as well as, Lakewood area, Terminal Road, Cove Road. But we'll need a motion to pay Morris Seal Coat for that $541,821.57 for the chip seal project.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to second to pay that bill with Morris Seal Coats. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Brown,
Aye.
Volk,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Lightfoot.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, it's just informational. They had to haul one of the plow trucks to East Grand Forks to be fixed. It's an international, so that's why it's in East Grand Forks, I would guess. It's not regenning power. It's not powering up. Not sure what it's gonna cost to get fixed. Well, that's good to hear. When you're talking emissions and regen, God knows what it's gonna be. We'll see.
International, no deer fixed.
That's why I went to East Grand Forks.
Mm-hmm.
Just informational, Strata's bringing their hot mix plant back online next month, so hopefully we'll get our overlay patches done then. And then we also have stuff on our desks, information wise. The disaster declaration, presidential declaration was approved on the 14th. Kevin now and his staff have 60 days to get the information entered into the database. According to our policy manual, it would be eligible to be paid for any overtime. The money would come out of the FEMA admin account that we're paid to administer the FEMA funds, so we get a motion to approve any overtime, specific to just doing the database entry.
So,
Okay, we have a motion and a second to allow Kevin and the staff to, have a possibility of overtime for FEMA project. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Visitors and delegations. Do we have anybody who'd like to speak before the commission? Did you watch?
You're learning how our county runs business.
Well, appreciate you coming.
Once in a while.
We appreciate you coming. With that,
Candy, were we supposed to discuss this, Simply Square from Rob?
It was an email that he had sent, so maybe he put it on the back burner.
Central Square?
Yeah.
No.
okay. All right, so now, as per the agenda that we moved on, we're going to move into executive session. The next item on the agenda is an executive session to receive attorney consultation, and the topic is negotiating strategy. The legal authority for closing this portion of the meeting is North Dakota Century Code, Chapter 440419.2. The purpose of this executive session is for an attorney consultation pursuant to NDCC 440419.1, specifically negotiation strategy. At this time, a motion would be in order to discuss the next topic in executive session rather than in an open meeting. Is there such a motion?
so
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move to executive session. Further discussion on the motion? I guess it's an agenda item. No further discussion. We'll need a roll call vote, please.
Brett,
Aye.
Volk,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Lightfoot.
Aye. Motion carries. At this point, I have to ask members of the public who are attending the meeting to leave the room. We Anticipate adjourning the executive session and reconvening the open portion of the meeting at approximately, how long is it gonna take?
That's up to you guys.
15, 20 minutes, maybe?
Hopefully not that long, but.
Hopefully not that long, we'll say 15 minutes from now. The minutes will show when the executive session begins.
Have to order food, take longer now.
Technically, we started the executive session at 6:35, we'll call it.
You're gonna further on the agenda?
No.
No, there's nothing after this.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I missed this portion. The executive session will be recorded, and all members of the governing body are reminded to limit their discussion during the executive session to the announced topic. The prohibition on taking final action during the executive session does not apply to providing guidance or instructions to our attorney.
We'll leave it.
Oh, we're fine. Do you have to restart it?
Yeah.
Do I have to restate this?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is just for the executive session. Okay, that was just for the people in the room.
The live stream is still going.
Yeah. So we're gonna give
Oh, he's gotta shut,
Gotta give him
he has to shut the live stream off since we're technically executive session, but we have to record it for.
In case the Attorney General asks to see it.
Yes.
that.
Which is completely reasonable and pursuant to the rules.
And you got that. Oh, you did.